Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Yes.
Okay, well then, all right, thanks. I want to welcome everyone to the September 17th Zoning Hearing Officer meeting. I'm Lisa Grote, and I'm the Zoning Hearing Officer for San Mateo County. We do have 3 items on the agenda this morning. Before we get into those, and before I ask Deb to read the instructions about how to participate, I will ask Deb to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We do start every meeting with that. So I'll ask you to stand where you are and pledge with me. Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Deb. And I am unmuted, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks. Then I will go ahead and ask Deb to read the instructions on how to participate, and then we will go into oral communications, and I'll explain what that is, and then we'll go into the first item. Thanks. Deb?
For those attending the meeting on the Zoom video conference, we will use the raise hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment period, and for each item on the regular agenda, I will ask for those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on that agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Please note that members of the public must wait for my prompt in connection with each agenda item before using the raise hand function. For example, you cannot raise your hand at the beginning of the meeting for an agenda item that is later in the meeting. When you hear your name called, I will prompt you to unmute your account and inform you that you may begin speaking. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, thank you, Deb. And I'm sorry if you can hear any background noise on my end. There is construction going on next door, so there may be a little bit of interference here and there. I apologize for that. Before we get into the first item, we do have an opportunity for oral communications. If anyone would like to comment or ask a question about an item or about something that's not on the agenda. And I don't see any hands raised. If Deb and Janice don't, I will go ahead and go. Okay, great. I'll go ahead and go into the first item on our regular agenda. I'll just read the brief description or introduction, and then Kelsey Lang will give the staff report. It's owner La Honda Fire Brigade, applicant John Evans, file number PLN 2020-00053. The location is 8945 La Honda Road, and the assessor's parcel number is 083-014-040. And Kelsey, if you want to give an overview and staff report, thanks.
All right. So as said, this is item number 1, PLN 2020-00053, which is a use permit amendment to allow 2 additions to the La Honda Fire Brigade Fire Hall. This use permit amendment would allow a 2nd floor addition and a ground floor addition. The 2nd floor addition is approximately 1,300 square feet, and it would be on the left side of the building. The ground floor addition is approximately 100 square feet, and it would be on the right rear side of the building. And the existing building is just under 3,500 square feet. There is a variance that was previously approved on this property to allow the lot coverage to increase from 30%, which is the maximum per the zone, to 33%. This proposal would further increase the lot coverage to almost 37%. No trees are proposed for removal. There's minimal grading, and the project is within the La Honda Road County Scenic Corridor. This is an aerial view of the project site. La Honda Road is on the right-hand side of the site, which is outlined in yellow, and it's just on the edge of the La Honda settlement area. And you can see the street view of the site as it currently exists. And then we're looking at a site plan view. So La Honda Road is on the bottom of the site plan. And then I've highlighted the two areas where the additions would take place. The one on the left is where the second floor addition would take place. So it will be above these existing rooms. And then the one on the right is the proposed tool shed addition. And then some elevations on how this is proposed to look. We start at the top left-hand corner. This is looking from the front, so that street view perspective that we saw earlier. And the proposed addition is highlighted in orange of how the perspective will change. The next one below it is looking from the back. So this would not be visible to the street. And you can see the area of the tool shed is looking on the left of this image, which is on the right of the building from the front. And then the final image on the right-hand side, this is looking from the side of the building, and you can see where the second floor addition would be tucked in behind the existing facade. This property is in the open space designation of the general plan and has been reviewed against the applicable policies that are listed here. These include scenic resources, visual, water supply, wastewater supply, and rural land policies, and was found to conform with all of them. In the zoning, this property is zoned A1 S9. This in the section 3 of the staff report, this was incorrectly identified as A1 S3. So that's something to keep in mind. However, the information on the screen is correct. And in that, the proposal conforms with the development standards, with the exception of lot coverage. The S9 zone is 30% lot coverage maximum. Through a previous planning application, the applicant was granted lot coverage increase to 33%, and this application requests further relief, bringing it to 36.9% lot coverage. And you can see here for the development standards, again, the side yard setbacks were incorrectly identified in section 3 of the staff report as 5 feet. They are actually 10 feet. And the proposal conforms to all of the development standards with the exception of lot coverage as previously discussed. For the issuance of the use permit amendment, there are two findings that have to be made. The first is that the establishment, maintenance, and or conducting of the use will not, under the circumstances, result in significant adverse impacts or be detrimental to the public welfare. This facility has been in operation since the 1960s, and there have been no complaints received. The applicant has complied with the previous conditions of approval, and we deem the expansion of this fire hall and continued operation will not adversely affect the welfare of the neighborhood. The second finding is that the proposed project is necessary for public health, safety, convenience, and welfare. The continued use and expansion of this fire hall will provide enhanced fire protection services to this area, which we've seen is very important recently, and thereby supporting public health and safety. Under CEQA, this project is exempt for environmental review under Class 1, as it is an addition to an existing structure that is less than 50% floor area increase or 2,500 square feet. And as such, we are recommending that the zoning hearing officer approve the use permit amendment, making the required findings and adopting the conditions as listed in attachment A.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelsey. Is the applicant here? And would you, I do see John Evans is here. Would you like to make any additional comments, Mr. Evans?
No, a very thorough staff report and well done, Kelsey. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make any comments?
We are now opening public comment for item number 1. If your hand is raised, your name will be called for this item. I will lower your hand after you speak. For those joining by telephone, please press *9 to raise your hand or unraise your hand. And right now, I do not see anybody with their hand raised for this item.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Kelsey, could you put up the graphic of the front elevation? I just wanted to look at that one more time quickly.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So it looks like the height increase is very minimal and would not have any real visual impact. Is that correct, Kelsey?
It's about 5 feet that the front increase would be from the existing facade, but the style will mimic the existing facade, just raised slightly higher.
Right. Okay. And colors and materials are all the same as noted in the staff report.
They are conditioned to match the existing.
Great. Great. Thanks.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, if I could add, there are drawings in the staff report that show the actual renderings of this.
Great. Yes. Thank you for pointing that out. And I did get a copy of that. So thanks. And okay, if there isn't any member of the public who would like to comment, and I'm not seeing any, and Janeth, if you can confirm that, I think we're
That's
ready
correct.
to, okay. I think then I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and issue a written approval this afternoon in accordance with the findings and conditions in the staff report. I did want to ask the applicant quickly if you've had a chance to read through those conditions, you understand them, you don't have any questions about them?
Yes, and no questions. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. And as Kelsey indicated, we thank you and all of our firefighters for everything you've been doing recently. So thank you. And we are going to close the public hearing on that item and move on to items 2 and 3. And I am going to just read briefly the description into the public record, and then Camille Leong, who's been the project planner on both items, is going to give the report for both items together. I will take public comment on the items separately so we don't get confused about them, but I think the presentation will go more smoothly if we do it together. So item 2 is owner, County of San Mateo Public Works and Joint Pole Association. The applicant is AT&T Wireless, care of Modus. The file number is PLN 2020-00121. That location is the public right-of-way in front of 100 Avenue Portola in El Granada, and that APN is 047-232-010. Then item 3 is owner, County of San Mateo Public Parks and Joint Pole Association. The applicant is AT&T, care of Modus. That file number is PLN 2020-00122, and that public right-of-way is in front of 255 Avenue del Oro in El Granada, and then that APN is 047-211-100. So Camille, if you would like to give the staff report, and then we can have the applicant give their comments, and then we'll open it up for public comment.
Okay,
Thanks.
good morning. Let me share my screen. So give me 1 second. Oh. Sorry, 1 minute. For some reason, oh, I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. I'm having problems sharing my screen today. Hold on. I got this though.
If it for some reason doesn't work, you can email it over. And I can
Okay. So are you guys able? Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. So I actually prepared a presentation for each item, but what I can do is I can switch from one to the other. I don't know, Lisa, what would you suggest? I did prepare separate presentations in case the public speakers might be different on other.
Okay, can you hear me, Camille?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead and give two different presentations then. I thought you had wanted to combine them since there is one staff report, but yeah,
Yes.
it's fine if you, yes, that's great. If you've prepared two different presentations, that's fine.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. You're welcome. So the first item is located on Avenue Portola. It's actually in the landscape island that's located west of 100 Avenue Portola. The existing utility pole is 30 feet high. It will be replaced by a new pole with additional equipment at a new height of 40 feet and 10 inches. The applicant has provided some visual simulations. The one on the left is the view looking southwest from Avenue Portola. And
Neil?
yes.
Are you able to make it bigger? Are you able to
Oh.
do the slideshow function? Just
To share this, to expand the, how do I do
well, keep going to the left where the little screen is. So I saw where you were. There you go. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, this is probably my first time giving a Zoom presentation. Okay, so on the right side is oh gosh, see, the thing is it's obscuring the text on okay, so on the right side is the view northeast, looking northeast along Avenue Portola from Avenue Alhambra. So sorry, I just needed to look at that text. So that's the right side, and you can see the new pole there. As described in the staff report, the project complies with applicable policies of the energy component, in which policies 4.31 and 4.35 require consolidated transmission facilities when feasible to minimize impacts to coastal resources. The project also complies with policy 4.36 regarding color and design, where the color and design of the facilities should be compatible with the surroundings. Staff has added a condition number 4 for the new facility to be painted to match the existing wood brown color of the previous pole. Okay, there we go. As described in the staff report, the project complies with the county's wireless telecommunications facilities ordinance. To the extent feasible with regard to height, the standard actually the ordinance sets a limit to 10%, the height of the zoning district with an additional 10% added on top of the height of the existing facility, or by 5 feet, whichever is less. So the proposed pole does actually exceed both the height limit of the zoning district as well as the pole height plus 10% in order to achieve separation distances that are required by the California Public Utilities Commission. And that is actually shown, and the applicant can take any questions on this. The separation distances are shown in the shaded boxes on the pole to the right, which is the proposed pole. And the separation distances are taken from the power lines, as well as other facilities that could cause conflicts. And this can be further explained by the applicant as needed. As discussed in the staff report, the project is exempt from CEQA for the construction of new small structures and the installation of small new equipment and facilities. Staff did refer the project to the California Coastal Commission, we received a comment regarding potential need to trim tree limbs, and the applicant had responded that that trimming, if needed, would use industry best practice methods, and that was added as condition number 6. The project was referred to the MCC who supported the project. So the staff's recommendation for item number 2 is that the zoning hearing officer approve the CDP and the use permit for the new cell facility by making the findings and the adopting the conditions of approval in attachment A of the staff report.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Camille. Is the applicant, does the applicant want to make any additional comments or have anything further to add?
Hi, my name is Caitlin McLester. I am a project manager at Modus on behalf of AT&T. This was a pretty thorough report, so I don't really have much to add, but I am here for any questions. Our design is largely based off GEO 95 rules, as Camille briefly went over. Yeah, I'm here to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. I don't see, if there are members of the public who would like to speak, please do raise your hand. Janeth or Deb, maybe you can confirm. I'm not seeing any hands raised on the screen at this point, but maybe you can confirm that.
Sure. Let me just go ahead and state this, that we are now opening public comment for item number 2. If your hand is raised, your name will be called for this item. I will lower your hand after you speak. Those joining by telephone can press *9 to raise your hands now. And just give it a couple of seconds. Seeing none. Lisa, there are no speakers.
Okay, and then just very quickly, Camille, this meets all of the RF requirements as you had discussed in the staff report. So there are no issues there, correct?
That's correct. We did receive, I did receive one phone call with some expressed concerns about that. I sent her the RF report, which states that it's under the federal thresholds for emissions. It looks like Hammett and Edison is on the line in case there's any questions regarding that, but the report's pretty clear that there aren't any health effects posed by this project.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's how I read it. It was an attachment to the staff report, so thank you for attaching that. Okay, well then, given that there are no public comments, and I just wanted to recheck that, okay, then I will go ahead and close the public hearing for that item, and we'll issue a written approval this afternoon with the findings and the conditions in the staff report. And again, I wanted to ask the applicant very quickly if you've had a chance to read through those conditions, if you have any questions or comments on them.
No questions.
Okay, okay, great, thanks. All right, then I will issue a written approval in accordance with the findings and conditions in the staff report. So then now we will go on to item number 3, and that is PLN 2020-00122. And Camille, if you want to start with a staff report and overview.
Yes, so this is a very similar project. It's also located in El Granada. The applicant is the same as item number 2. This location, the other location was in the R3S3 DRCD zoning district to the south. This project is located to the north, and it is located just south of 255 Avenue Del Oro. The existing pole is 37.5 feet high, and it will be replaced actually, I think this one's just being modified and not replaced, with a new pole to the height of 46.5. The applicant did send along photo sims, and the left shows views from looking northeast along Avenue Del Oro with the pole right at the center. And the right side shows the view looking southwest along Avenue Del Oro with the pole there. So yeah, I believe it is the same pole with new equipment. As with the last application, this application also consolidates transmission facilities on existing poles and thereby minimizes impacts to coastal resources such as scenic views. This application also complies with the color and design policies. I've added condition number 4 to require the modified pole to match the existing pole. In terms of compliance with the wireless telecommunications facility ordinance of the county, this project is co-located somewhat, I use that term loosely, not with another cell site, but with the existing utility pole. And it's a technology that's a small cell technology, so there will be more in residential neighborhoods to serve residential users. But this approach of placing them on utility poles is really the least impactful possible. I forgot to mention in the other presentation, the applicant has provided alternative sites for both projects. The alternative sites for this project specifically were also in residential zoning districts. And the other alternative sites were found to be infeasible. And it meets the county's alternatives analysis requirement. However, that's caveated with the fact that the alternatives analysis, there was a court case recently that basically puts the burden on the municipality in terms of proving other sites to be feasible, and the county hasn't proven any other sites to be feasible at this time. And the applicant has demonstrated that the site is needed for coverage for the neighborhood. In terms of the height limit set by the wireless telecommunications facility ordinance, it does also exceed the maximum height for structures in the zoning district, as well as the height limit of the existing facility plus 10% or 5 feet, whichever is less. However, the imposition, as stated in the staff report, the county has found that the imposition of the county's height restrictions would prohibit the installation of wireless facilities on utility poles, and such a prohibition is preempted by federal law. And in this case, the state and federal regulations take priority over the local regulations with regard to height in this instance. So the federal separation requirements for the General Order 95 are shown in the hatched boxes, which add to the overall height of the pole in order to be effective. As stated in the staff report, the project is categorically exempt for small structures and equipment. Staff actually, I don't think this one actually had any conflict with the tree limbs. So this one may not require any tree trimming. But I believe condition 6 would address any incidental need in case some should arise. The MCC supports this project. And so staff recommends that the zoning hearing officer approve the CDP and the use permit for this item number 3 by making the required findings and adopting the conditions of approval listed in attachment A. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Camille. Does the applicant want to make any additional comments at this point?
I will just confirm that this project does not propose a pole replacement. So Camille, you are correct.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. And again, Janeth, maybe you would like to ask if there are any attendees that would like to comment?
Sure. We are now opening public comment for item number 3. If your hand is raised, your name will be called for this item. I will lower your hand after you speak. Those joining by telephone can press star 9 to raise and unraise your hand, and we'll give it a couple seconds.
Okay.
Seeing none, there are no comments for this item.
Okay, and then I would just ask or ask for confirmation. Again, no issues with the RF report. I read through this one, nothing that has come up.
No, there's no issues and there was no comments from the public on this item.
Okay, okay, great. And all right, then if we reconfirm that there are no members of the public that would like to speak or ask questions. And again, oh, I'm sorry, I think I cut you off, Janeth.
That's okay. I was just confirming there are no hands raised.
Okay, great, thanks. And then again, to ask the applicant, you've had a chance to read through these conditions as they apply to this site, and you don't have any questions or comments on those?
Correct. No questions or comments.
Okay, great. Thanks. Well, then I will go ahead and close the public hearing on this item as well and issue a written approval this afternoon based on the findings and conditions in the staff report. And I think that concludes our September 17th, 2020 zoning hearing officer meeting. I want to thank everybody for attending and all your good work. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Deb. Bye, everyone.
Bye.